So we will start this panel by a brief presentation by Artur, General Manager at Balkan region for MasterCard. And after this 10-minute presentation, we will go deep in the panel and ask the Artur.
That's me.
Can you hear me? Yeah, good. Thank you very much, and thanks for this insightful presentation. I wanted to give you a couple of insights in terms of how we in MasterCard see the future in payments and money transfer. May I ask to put my presentation on the screen? Thank you. Let's start with the short movie, because if we are talking about the future of payments, we could take hours, actually, and let me be very, very brief in this sense and to show very, very brief ideas and imaginations how we see the future. Can I ask about music to this movie? Thank you. Okay, let me go, because I see that the organizer have some technical problems with the music, so let me go one by one in terms of the trends that we see and how we see the future of payments. First of all, the biggest thing in payments is the fact that we didn't see such a speed and changes like happening right now, and that impacts how consumers interact in terms of digitalization. So having here in the audience a lot of startup companies and a lot of people and companies representing this huge space, it's absolutely important to mention and be aware that the speed was never such huge like today's. How we perceive those changes in MasterCard, because you are all aware that it's about technology, it's about capabilities that you and your company demonstrate to make this change and to impact this change, to create this trend. But being inspired of one presentation from Mr. Balkansky a couple of minutes ago, I have to mention that it's also about the people, and it's about talented people who create these changes. And this is how we see that the changes enabling much more convenient way of payments and money transfer are happening thanks to creativity of the people and doing the things in a very fast way. And this is our company's DNA, how we are also doing the changes. One of the biggest trend and change is that everything is going into digital space. Not only about money, and not only about payments, not only about money transfer. This is about how people communicate, how people shop, how people entertain, how people are doing marketing, how people are doing marketing of themselves as well. And this is a huge change in payments as well, that everything is going to digital. So we're observing a huge and very quick process how physical world is being converted into digital world. Couple of statistics and looking into perspective. A couple of years ago, if we were talking about smartphone, it was wow. We were mentioning this model or this model. We estimate, and many research are showing, that within 3 to 5 years, half of the population will be using smartphones and tablets. So it means mobile and connected device that are already becoming a commerce device. We can imagine that within 5 years, the number of electronic transactions will be multiplied at least several times. If I tell you 200 billion transactions, it doesn't mean anything. But we can imagine that we will be transacting electronically much more frequently, thanks to technology, thanks to the access, and thanks to the convenience of the solutions that industry players providing. And as mentioned, this becoming this goes into commerce device. Let me give you just a couple of examples of the solutions and products that we in MasterCard designed and launched that are changing also the world, how the payments are being perceived. The first example is just Dynamics card, the displayed card. All of my colleagues from my company, which are doing many presentations, are always asking at the beginning of such a panel, who of you has MasterCard in your wallet? So I can ask you also about this, but let's imagine that your card has also the display, screen that you can see different things like your current balance on your current account, or number of loyalty points in your program, and so on and so forth. Let's go further. There is a great solution that we launch in some countries. It's a Shop This. Shop This is a very smart and quick, unique solutions. Imagine that you are just reading the article in the newspaper and the magazine, and you see something, you see some advertisement that you can, and you like the product, and you can just screen the QR code and just within one button buy it immediately. It will be shipped to your home without any physical attention from your side. Another thing which many industry players are talking about, it's already happening, two things and state-of-the-art solutions, biometric and Herbit being used for authentication. Forget about the pins in the future. This is how we see this as well. Last but not least, one small insight from Bulgaria, because it's easy to talk about the solutions globally, but it's also about the access. We in MasterCard always trying to being involved locally and doing the things locally, giving more and more convenient solutions to local community. Ongoing promotion that we done in cooperation with UniCredit Bullbank, giving the free of charge possibility of traveling in new metro line. So this is how the payments are being changed. We can talk about sophisticated things, but it's about daily habits and very simple habits, how consumers are changing. And in today's world, where only 15% of retail transactions are being done in an electronic way, the biggest trend, if I can mention, that will change the future is a huge conversion of cash into electronic payments. So as almost half of the audience represents startups company, I have to mention that we in MasterCard also promoting and developing talents, also cooperating with external companies, are running and looking for talents and looking for startup companies that are more creative than us and can bring more solutions. We have a global competition called Master of Code that is happening on a regional level, so we kindly invite you also to participate in, if not in current edition, for the next one. In 2 weeks' time, it's going to be a long weekend in Tel Aviv that will be looking and observing what selected startup companies are going to present in terms of payments development. This is just the beginning, and I hope I just want to give some insights in my brief presentation. Selling a little bit the company, I have to convince you to social promotion that we are doing in Twitter. So you know that our DNA is priceless. So I strongly encourage you to tweet and use hashtag priceless, and you will have the possibility to win some priceless surprises. So that's more from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. So you heard about MasterCard. I think everybody know here who is MasterCard, but let's say maybe by a presentation of Mangopay, that is a less known company, but like our friend at MasterCard say, startups innovate. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you. So my name is Svetlana Videnova. Здравейте на всички. Родена съм и съм израснала тук в София. Затова за мен е голямо удоволствие да присъствам на тази конференция. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Je suis arrivée en France il y a 2 ans maintenant, où j'ai pu obtenir mon master en informatique et j'ai eu la chance d'être recrutée pour Mangopay, justement. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have been recruited for Mangopay as a technical account manager. Thank you. I have been recruited as a technical account manager in Paris. But I'm now based in London, so I'm responsible for the UK client. about Mangopay is a payment solution for marketplace and crowdfunding companies. So we are white label solution. We do escrow wallets. So you can just invest into this wallet and make split payments, one-click payments. We do have many payment solutions as CB, MasterCard, Visa, local payments for Germany, for example, Software, TLV, GiroPay, and many others. Some of our most famous clients are founded by me, for example, Vinted, and yeah, for the moment.
So our second speaker is from PayPal. Who know PayPal here in the room? Wow, only the other are shy. So maybe you can introduce PayPal and answer this question that I'm interested about PayPal and the future of payment. Do you think PayPal is still a startup and still eager to work with startup on global scale?
It's a good one. So, Zdrastie, hello, buenos dias. So first of all, I'm not wearing a tie, so I'm not serious, and I'm not going to crack any joke about toilets. So PayPal, yeah, it's a good question. So it's interesting because the key question is about how can you innovate at scale? How can you still bring innovation to the market, but you do that on a scalable way? And is PayPal still a startup? No, because we have been on the market for 15 years. Last year we had revenues of about $8 billion, and we're going to go IPO on NASDAQ in a couple of months. I don't believe we qualify anymore as a startup. At the same time, everything that we do, and from the beginning, has been to support small, medium-sized entrepreneur. I mean, this is the way we started when we started first on eBay. And when I look, for instance, at the kind of business that we do in a country like Bulgaria, I mean, the people that use our service is very much to scale their shop or the service that they sell over the internet in order to scale that in a global way. And this is very much the intent of what we do. And also this is what we try to achieve when we acquire new companies like Braintree, which is a good example, in order to bring all this platform to support local entrepreneurs in order to scale their business globally.
Great. I have, so now you know the MasterCard guy. I have a question for three of you, and I don't know who'll take it first, but the payment space is a very complicated and regulated space, a space where it's hard to start a startup, hard to compete with incumbents that are giants like Visa, like MasterCard, like PayPal. And yet, we saw the phenomenon Stripe in the last few years that grew up as a $6 billion valuation startup in few years only. How do you react to this kind of competition? Do you think it will intensify? And are you worried about this kind of competition? So maybe PayPal guy first, because you bought Braintree.
No, yeah, but for me, Stripe is fantastic, and Stripe and Braintree is fantastic because it's about making a massive leap forward in terms of the quality of the payment. And I guess Stripe, Braintree, and what we do also as with PayPal in terms of product is, how do you make payment disappearing from the digital experience? And for me, the best payment experience is when you don't have to pay. I order a taxi ride with Uber, I go into the car, I leave the car, I never have to pay. Same thing on desktop when you do a one-click, one-touch payment. So the holy grail for us, and that was the spirit of buying Braintree, is how do you make payment disappearing? Competition is good. Then I guess going back to your first statement, yes, payment is complicated, payment is regulated. I don't believe it's that complicated to start a new payment, fintech-related company at the country. And when you look at the amount of investment being made and the number of companies being started, it's amazing. The real difficulty is how can you scale that in multiple countries? Because even when you look at the European Union, where you could say it's a single digital market, actually it's not the case. According to the law, a customer in Bulgaria could take a mortgage from a bank in the UK. But apparently, I mean, actually no one does that. And actually, you still have some borders in the way the regulation is implemented at a country-by-country level. So I guess it's not that much about can I start a new business, but how can I really scale that in a global manner?
I think Céline is our CEO, Céline Lazard. I think she would disagree about the thing that it's easy to start a payment startup, because she took about 2 or 3 years just to get the license to as a money issuer. And thanks to the family as well, being that supportive, she could make it. But in many interviews, she says that she doesn't encourage to go into this business because there's a lot of time with the legal stuff and the license.
And how do you feel about this overcapitalized competition that coming from the US? Are you worried, or do you think local market are strong enough?
For the moment, no, we are not worried that much about that, because most of our clients, Wallapop, for example, we just signed them in Spain. They're trying to integrate right now Mangopay. So many of the new startups in Europe prefers us for the one-click payment, for, like you said, like the application Uber. When you sign, you just you don't worry about the payment. Your card is registered, so you can get funds whenever you want. And for the platform, something from the technical side, for the platform, it's really important to get their fees quite easily, and this is something that we do really well.
Cool. And like right now, the old payment infrastructure is dependent of the payment processor, like MasterCard. Is it something you think about, that this kind of company can bypass you and at one point build the old stack infrastructure and not being dependent of a company like yours anymore?
Yeah, it's a very good and fundamental question. Whenever
and maybe you can explain how this infrastructure works now and what's MasterCard role in this infrastructure, to give insight to the audience about what happened when they pay with credit card and where the fees are going.
Our role and our mission is to create the world beyond cash. And so we are globally cooperating with different players. We are working with the banks, we are working with issuing bank, we are working with acquiring bank, we are working with telcos, we are working with merchants, we are working with governments as well. And of course, finally, at the end of the day, providing the solutions and product to the final consumers, and also for the small and medium enterprises, for corporations as well. So talking about the competition in this respect, I would like to highlight 3 things, which are, I would say, that the key points, how the payments industry overall should be developed. The first is business climate, the second is interoperability, and the third one, it's about partnerships. So business climate, we mentioned all about regulatory. We, and actually startups even know more than us, that the best market forces and the best regulator are the market forces. So, of course, we are in discussion with European Commission, local governments on the field, but the thing is that financial sector and payment sector is becoming much more regulated. We know that this is because the regulator and the state would like to control more, not always creating the good business climate for entrepreneurships and for the industry players. So business climate is the key point to develop the new solutions and creating the more competitive environment. Second thing, interoperability. And in talking about competition within the digital giants and small companies. We can imagine, and we across the globe cooperating with many companies, but we can imagine that one card designed in one market, for instance, like Bulgaria, without the international brand, without the access to international network, can't provide to the end users the possibility to pay abroad, to transfer the money abroad, to transact in e-commerce and in m-commerce environment. So interoperability, it's a key thing that we are building for more than 40 years. So therefore, we are also able to, and having the capabilities to invest more, to design more or global scale and bringing this solution to particular markets. And third point, it's about partnerships, public-private partnerships. We are collaborating with many players. It's impossible just to provide the global network and global processing channels and having fantastic solutions in one or another market. We have to collaborate, and we are collaborating. And this is what I mentioned, for instance, developing and investing in startups. It's something that we in MasterCard are doing. It's a must. And especially, for instance, in a topic like financial inclusion, this is also the future of payments. Bear in mind that there are millions of people across the globe, they don't have the access to financial services. It's not about they will be never rich, most probably, but they have to have access to financial services. Someone mentioned Africa. It's a fantastic example what we did. We opened the labs to create solutions for financial excluded people in Kenya, in cooperation with Gates Foundation, for instance. Mentioning Africa and emerging markets and undeveloped markets, they will never have plastics. They already started using mobile phones because they always have because they started to have mobile phones firstly. So it's about adjusting the infrastructure and technology to the local needs and local conditions.
Talking of that, it gave me a good transition. At the family in France, we receive thousands of pitch every year, and there is one very, very recurring pitch we get, is that everybody has a phone in his pocket. Why we cannot pay with it? I have this great idea. I will let people pay with the phone. And as an investor, I'm hearing that story from 10 years. And from 10 years, I see people failing at that. Maybe one after the others, you can tell us if you think that in the near future, someone will succeed at making people pay with phone. And what do you think about the big player initiative like Apple Pay or of Facebook payment about that? So maybe we can start there and go back here.
Mangopay solution can be developed, is an API REST, so it can be developed on your site or on a mobile phone. So there's no problem for us to register the card on the mobile, so in one click you can just pay.
And so why do you think it's not more used, and why I cannot go in a bar here and pay with my phone? Why something so obvious doesn't exist yet?
I'm not sure about that.
That's fine.
When you talk about mobile payment, I guess you need to make the difference between paying with my phone and paying on my phone. So paying with my phone at the point of sale, all the Apple Pay, the NFC, etc. I guess it's not about can you do that from a product standpoint. The real question is, are you solving anything? I mean, is it easier, better, more convenient? And the second thing is actually you have new use cases which are completely disrupting the point of sales logic. For me, like again, the Uber, and I don't want to go always to Uber, but you are just changing the way you do that, or the Starbucks application in the US. The most interesting for me at the moment is paying on your phone, and here it's a huge market. I just take PayPal only. Last year we made $46 billion of mobile phone payment. It's huge.
Just to give a perspective, 46 billion on mobile.
It's more than 20%.
20%.
And when we do studies across the globe, you have 1/3 of people who already made an online purchase via their mobile. You take a country next to here, Turkey, it's more than 50%. You go to China, it's 2/3 of the people because people skip the desktop phase and they go directly to mobile. Now, what is interesting for anyone in the room having, let's say, a digital commerce company is, you need to go mobile, you need to go global, but go mobile. Because when you look also at the growth rate of digital commerce, when globally the e-commerce is growing at 13%, the mobile commerce is growing at over 40%. So in any market where we do studies, being Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, developing market, etc., you always have a 3 to 4-fold difference between the growth of e-commerce and mobile commerce. So this one is very important. The thing that makes us super excited is all the application with mobile. Just this morning, we're talking with a guy from Tiki. Tiki, I don't know how to pronounce that. Companies in Bulgaria who want to they are going to release an application in order to digitalize public transportation. And this one is fantastic. For me, it's a great use case where you have local companies coming up with new concept, leapfrogging an existing use case. This one is not offline, is not online, it's just, a digital transaction. And I guess let's not be stuck about, I just want to replace like a card payment, which is swiping, inserting, doing a PIN with something else. It doesn't make any sense. Let's create new use cases.
I agree. You want to add something?
Answering your question is, you couldn't pay in the bar for a coffee because most probably the acquiring bank didn't deploy the contactless terminal there. Okay. But just the digression. And another digression is that Bulgarian market is much more developed in contactless payments than France. I can't compare the scale, but I can compare penetration of contactless terminal and contactless card, so it's much better. But anyway,
how do you explain that?
This is the commitment and the collaboration that I was talking about a couple of minutes ago. That we do collaborate with all the players to really make this change faster. And we in MasterCard in Europe did a mandate for acquiring bank to replace all existing terminals to the contactless mode. From across the Europe, from 1st of January 2016, there are the markets which are doing earlier, like Bulgaria, for instance, from 1st of July. All new terminals must be contactless equipped, and within 3 years, all existing terminals should be changed, should be replaced. Why we are doing this? And answering also your questions about mobile payments in a physical environment, not touching online one, because we have to build the infrastructure. Because we can tell from technology perspective, you can do it today, but the markets are not ready. And infrastructure requires huge investment. So this is an ongoing process, and in different markets it looks different, but it's happening. I'm coming from the market from Poland, where more than 70% of all terminals are contactless equipped, and more than 70% of the cards are contactless equipped. So this is about payments in physical environment. While talking about and referring to your point about payments mobile, so on the go, this is much bigger space which is not explored, and it's already happening. We have partners who have digital wallets where the physical card or virtual card are registered then, and it enables remote payments. So it's already happening, depending on the solutions, depending on the technology. But more challenging in this respect, it's also the awareness of all the users, of the merchants, of consumers, having huge awareness that those payments are really fast, convenient, and secure.
And to continue about this future of payment, one of the most trendy thing right now is about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is now the leading cryptocurrency out there. I was surprised yesterday to discover that a few Bulgarian startup was very high level in cryptocurrency space. Does the panelist here have any opinion about where all of this is going? Is it a bubble or something coming to stay and change radically the landscape? Maybe you can start your Sims to be excited about it.
I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and in Paris we have like Maison du Bitcoin. It's fantastic in terms of education, extra. Then I will really split the conversation into so Bitcoin as a currency. No, we offer it on PayPal with Braintree, with Coinbase. In the US, we have good demand from a digital good merchant. Sometimes it's hard to see the potential in terms of mass adoption, because still, even when you open a Bitcoin wallet, it's not always very straightforward, to move money extra. So you have, we'll say, like people who are over-engaged, but to have like mass mass acceptance, it's complicated. You need to have the network of acceptance, and then I guess there are big questions, especially for a merchant, the time it takes to confirm a transaction. I guess you have also the question around the mining that is taking a lot of space, energy, so I mean, that has impact. But for me, about cryptocurrency, the thing that is phenomenal is the technology, the infrastructure. So all the blockchain, the public ledger, and you have some very interesting companies at the moment working on that. You have a very interesting company in the US called Ripple that is building an infrastructure based on the blockchain. And what is very interesting is how can you remove the middleman into banking and financial services? Because when you look at the rail, I mean, we're saying there will be more innovation in the next 3-5 years in payment than in the last 50 years. Because, I mean, payment didn't innovate much in the last 50 years. I mean, we started seeing innovation from 10 years ago, I would say. And we are still using the same rail, being banks, being a card scheme that have been created in the 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. And if I want to move money from the US to Europe, I mean, I will go through the US clearinghouse managed by the US bank. Then it will be moved to a clearinghouse in Europe managed by European banks. So the cost of that, the time of doing that, the efficiency of doing that is not great. So if you can have a technology that allows faster money movement at a lower cost with much more flexibility to enable use cases, I mean, this one is very much fantastic. And I guess for me, again, just to summarize, Bitcoin, I mean, let's go beyond Bitcoin. Let's talk about cryptocurrency, and let's not look only at the impact on the consumers, but let's look also at the impact on the infrastructure of financial services and payment.
I was quite long in my discussions before, so in talking about this, I will be extremely short. I would like to say good luck, and if someone who is using this have to balance between two things: appetite for the risk and the convenience. So good luck.
No.
The only opinion is just that for the moment Mangopay will stay only with the regular payment methods as cards or bank transfer. That is not for the moment in our guideline.
That's fine.
I see some PayPal is supporting the innovation, the startup.
Yeah,
We still have this DNA.
Exactly, startups. Actually, that's how Mangopay started to help these innovation startups making the payment much easier and store money for as long as they want and make the transfers between their users much easier.
But just last thing on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I guess, can you create an internet of value around moving money in a digital way globally?
Money
and this one is great. And when you see serious people like Ben Horowitz investing there, they cannot be wrong. So, and I guess, it's scary because it's not regulated. It's something completely new, disrupting, both for the consumer, both for the existing, but it's not something that you cannot ignore. I don't believe that you can be in the payment area at the moment and just dismiss Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You cannot do that. That today, indeed, if you are, let's say, an e-commerce player, do you need to accept Bitcoin? Yeah, potentially, I don't know. Do you want to use Bitcoin? I don't know. But the potential of this technology is just amazing.
I don't ignore. I just said it's about the risk and convenience and this balance.
So maybe we have 5 minutes left. We can take questions from the audience. So yeah, please talk very loudly, or maybe someone can give him a microphone.
Yes,
No.
I would like to ask a question about the future of payments for businesses when they are business-to-business payments. What do you think about this? When there are huge amounts, like 10,000, 20,000 euros, when there is a need to make an advance payment and then to pay a delivery. Do you have a solution, you or any other company? What are the trends in this area? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe we can have a talk afterwards. I have many flyers to give away. But yeah, Mangopay is exactly B2B solution. So whatever your customers will pay into your platform will go to created e-wallet. You can get your commission whenever you want, and then escrow the money back to the bank account of the seller.
Yeah, an interesting point maybe, and I will bounce on your question. Most of big export-import transactions right now are doing with using LC, letter of credit. And letter of credit is a very funny technology because it have been created in 16th century by Venetian bank. And from that, they never iterate. It works exactly the same from 16th century to today. And maybe what Mr. was pointing is that I actually believe that we are all obsessed about B2C payment and not B2B in sense of marketplace, but B2B in sense of I'm buying for $1 million of unit in Hong Kong. I need to wire only if I receive the marchandise, how I do that. And right now that costs between 7 to 15% commission in a letter of credit. And it's unimaginable to think that banks did not do any innovation about that. And for example, why PayPal is not going on this market? Because you are huge on Alibaba, for example.
It's a good business to start.
Yeah.
No, and indeed,
Good
I mean,
point, sir.
No, but B2B, indeed. I mean, we do a lot of B2B ourselves. I guess it's really the magnitude of the transaction that we're talking about. And I guess in the case that you are mentioning, like more paying suppliers, having a kind of an escrow service where only release the phone. When this one is a very specific type of business, which is, I guess, not the core business of PayPal, to be honest with you.
And do you know any player doing that? I have no in mind.
The guys from TradeShift, no? It's a bit...
Yeah? No. Another question?
My name is Kalina, and what I would like to ask is basically because, like in the job that I'm doing, I see that we don't so much have a technological problem about people using mobile when they're paying, but it's more a question of socially and culturally how we've evolved, and that people are very suspicious to online payment here. So I wanted to ask you if you're relying mostly on organic development in this sense, or you also, like, how do you educate the market basically? How do you create trust for people to purchase online? Thank you.
Great question.
Yeah, if I can respond. It's absolutely very important questions, and thank you very much for this. In payments, it's about not only about convenience and speed, it's about security. And we are observing that Bulgarian market is growing in e-commerce payment like one of the quickest, at least in Central Eastern Europe and in Europe overall. So if you look at the fears, I agree that there is huge challenge on education. Of course, we are working with the banks, with issuing banks or e-commerce acquirers or e-commerce platform to highlight in all different communication channels that those payments are secure. But if you look at the number of transactions in e-commerce, it's growing. So yeah, there is huge requirement to educate more and providing more and more awareness about the security and also secure solutions in this respect. But on the other hand, if we look at the data, it's growing. Bulgarians are transacting in e-commerce more and more. Of course, we in MasterCard providing more and more solutions like secure codes, so more advanced authentication solutions. Upcoming in hopefully not big long future, MasterPass, so one quick checkout button that you don't need to put your card number again and again in each and every payment, but just to, once you registered once, you can put, just press the button and the payment is done. But I wouldn't agree that the people are not using this. E-commerce is growing.
Thank you very much for this. Sorry, they are asking me to cut. It was a pleasure to be with you and see you at the conference, and you can ping us after. Thank you.
Thank you very much.